Welcome, episode one of the Conscious Consumer Podcast. Today, this is going to be more of an introduction to me. I'm Andrew Everett, the host, former college and professional football player, and just kind of my backstory and how I got into the world of holistics and wellness, and just my journey through it all. And, we'll start off by just an introduction to the podcast, Conscious Consumer, why I chose that name, what it means to me, right? So, to be a conscious consumer, it's not necessarily just about food or content that you're watching. It's all of it together. It's the holistic lifestyle, right? What am I consuming, and am I doing it consciously, like, or is it just something that's out of my control that I'm just consuming because it's being thrown in my face, right? Like, so you always want to be conscious of what you're consuming and what and how it affects you, how it affects your mental state, how it affects your body, your digestive system, how it affects your emotions, what emotion you're giving back to the world after you consume that thing, whether it be a video or a slice of pizza or a piece of cake. you know um, that's kind of the basis of what a conscious consumer is: somebody who's aware of everything that they're taking in and aware of how it might affect their body or how it does affect their body, their mental, spiritual, physical well-being. That's what I see as a conscious consumer. And that's why I chose the podcast, chose that name for the podcast, because that's what I strive to be in everything, is just to be conscious of what I'm doing, what I'm taking in, how it affects me, how it affects my emotions, and how my emotions affect those around me, right? So always want to be conscious. So that's kind of that piece of it, of why I chose that name, um, so that we can kind of get into my backstory. Again, I'm a former athlete. I played sports, since I was a little kid. Always a active lifestyle. Always trying to better myself physically in the physical world, right? I want to be bigger, faster, stronger. I heard that so many times uh, growing up, being from Atlanta, Georgia. You know, it's football country. That's what I grew up playing. That's what I grew up loving, was football. So bigger, faster, stronger. Bigger, faster, stronger. Ingrained into my head so strong, like bigger, faster, stronger. That's what I was striving to be every day in every way, was trying to be bigger, faster, and stronger. So like get the scholarship, to get the scouts to see me, to get that validation from coaches that, oh, he's going to be our guy. He's going to be the leader on the field. So, yeah, that's kind of like a lot of where my basis comes from, as far as discipline and, I mean, just physically being active on a daily basis. Like, I've been doing that for a long time. And that kind of led me into being a personal trainer and a fitness coach. And I did that for about 5 years. I was at Orange Theory. I was a head coach at Orange Theory for a while, and coached there as well before I was a head coach. And uh, did some personal training in downtown Atlanta at some smaller gyms, some really kind of boutique style gyms, some great places, learned from great people. I mean, and that's kind of where I fell in love with, just like trying to help people achieve goals, right? And I always did that, even through football, just in ways that I didn't understand, because I was more so like the rah kind of leader, right? Where it's like getting the troops together to achieve the goal, so like bringing everybody together to achieve the similar goal. And that's one thing that you just don't get otherwise in life. and I know I'm kind of going all over with my thoughts, but like the brotherhood of having a team that's going towards a similar goal, and like everybody's focused and aligned to get to that goal. Like we're all moving in the same direction to get to that goal. Um, Not much like that in life, unless you have like a real team and brothers around you, or brothers and sisters. I mean, I play football, so that's just where the brothers come from. But yeah, if you have that kind of community around you, man, be grateful. Be grateful for it, because not everybody gets that. I think it's a lot. It's hard to. It's a hard transition for a lot of people coming from um, collegiate sports and having that and being around that every single day, to not having that and not being around it every single day. Where it's like a lot of after school, after your collegiate career, it's a lot of you're on your own. You're doing your thing. You got to handle the tasks. There's not always somebody there holding you accountable, really, right? You're just kind of doing the things that you think you're supposed to do, or the things that you want to do, right? Because there's not much like, you kind of do what you want at that point in life. It's like, oh, I got my job, I go to my work, I get paid, and other than that, like those are the things that have to really happen. I'm just kind of doing what I want to do. And it kind of like plays with you mentally. It's like it's a good thing. Like, oh, this is what I want. I want that freedom. But then on the other hand, it's there's still a longing for that structure. But a lot of people never implemented that structure on themselves before, right? It was always a reason behind it, of like, oh, I have to do this because I'm in school and I have a scholarship, or this is the team's goal, and we're trying to get to this goal, so this is what we have to do. But implementing those disciplines on yourself for no other reason than that you want to do it, and it's like something that you have to do, it's a little different. It hits you a little different. But yeah, that was kind of a rant off on another side. But getting back to where I was going with having that athletic background, it gives you a lot of templates of structure, which is good though. You have a lot of templates of, oh, I can do this is can be like a morning routine. This can be like I do this and this and this, and that can set me up to stack those small wins to be productive throughout the day. It's you have templates of structure that you can kind of implement into your life moving forward. That's definitely a huge benefit that I've you know taken advantage of. Maybe not as much as I should have, but I am now, more so than ever. So it's still there. It's still available, right? And it always will be. Once you can always go back and reanalyze and use in a different way and use that information. But yeah, that's just a part of my background, and figuring out that I really wanted to help people as I was being a personal trainer and fitness trainer. But I would see a lot of people come in and they're putting in the work in the gym. They come in, they're 4 or 5 days a week. They put the work in the gym, and they're busting their butt. They're giving it 100% when they're in there, but they're not quite getting those results. And I think a lot of it is just they're not conscious of the lifestyle they choose outside of the gym, and even inside of the gym. They're giving it their all. They're doing what they want to, like, they're doing what they need to do to get through the workout. But are they conscious of the muscles they're using, and while they're using them, like feeling those muscles working, like actually visualizing and feeling it as they're doing it? Are they really conscious of the workout that they're doing? What is it supposed to do for them? How are they supposed to feel at the end of that workout? Or they go home and then they just crush a bag of Lay's chips. It's like, did they do that consciously, or was their metabolism just working and they were hungry and they just grabbed the first thing they saw, or the thing that was going to give them the biggest dopamine hit, right? Like, and just sit and watch TV, watch a movie for the night, and then go to bed. Like, that's not going to help you get the most out of that workout, right? It's a holistic thing. It's not just we work out and we get stronger. It's we work out, we get good rest, we feed our body nutrients, and that's what makes us stronger. Like, it's everything, right? And it's the mental aspect too. It's having that, oh, I'm doing this for me and I'm getting better, and I can see that when I do things a certain way, I get certain results. And when I do things in another way, I get those other kind of results, right? So once you have that realization, it almost makes it a little easier to make the right choices, because it's like, okay, when I'm conscious and I take a second and I ask myself before the meal, it's like, are these quality calories? Are these quality is this a quality TV show? How is this gonna feed my body in a way that enhances me to progress? Am I gonna progress from this? Is this gonna help me move forward to my goal? And it's just that having those being able to ask those questions, man, it'll take you to the next level. Not even just in fitness, in your finances, in your relationships, in anything in life. Being able to ask those questions, being able to slow down in the moment and ask those questions, right? Because oftentimes maybe it was like afterwards, it's like after the bag of chips, you feel like, oh man, that probably wasn't the best thing for me to do, right? After you crush the whole bag of cookies, that I don't feel so great now. Like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Right? But it feels good in the moment. We're getting that dopamine. We're getting those neurotransmitters are firing, right? We're getting all the dopamine hit. But afterwards, you experience the crash of the dopamine, right? And then you're like, man, that's not quite what I wanted from that. Not quite what I wanted. But it's still easy to fall back into that loop when you ask the question after. Whereas if you just slow down and ask that question beforehand, is this serving me? Is this going to make me feel good, for the next few hours, not just in this moment? Is this going to be good for me to reach my goals for weight loss, to reach my goals for body composition, for weightlifting, whatever your goals are, right? Whether it be about your body, or if the goal is just to feel good, just to feel optimal throughout the day. Is it going to give me energy? Am I going to have energy throughout the day, right? Well, that's a lot of people's goal with working out and trying to eat right and, improving their lives, is they just want more energy. And it's, you know, everybody wants more energy. Even the people who got the most energy are like, man, if I can just have energy to do even more, right? So asking those questions beforehand rather than after the fact, or even in the middle of it. You can catch it in the middle sometimes and still delay that crash of the dopamine, or that crash of energy. But being able to ask yourself those questions beforehand is key. Is key. What else are we talking about today? The Conscious Consumer Podcast. I'm ecstatic to be here with you guys. I've been talking about doing a podcast and uh, you know, sharing more of myself with the world. Um, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll start next week. I'll start next week. I gotta find the right spot. I gotta find the right this or that. And then it's just like, man, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So that's what I'm here with you guys. I'm grateful to be here with you. Grateful that you're here with me, taking in some of this information, and hopefully it'll help put you in the right direction, hopefully help you get going on your goals, right? Going back to that community, having a community to push forward. That's something that I did, that I started doing while I was working as a personal trainer and fitness trainer. Is, man, that's really when I started to become conscious of what I was consuming, as in listening to, right? The music I was listening to, the TV shows I was watching, um, and I started to really kind of switch, and I listened to a lot more audiobooks. I listened to podcasts almost endlessly, and I stopped really listening to music a lot because a lot of the music that I had been listening to was toxic and just not. It wasn't serving me. It wasn't helping me get to goals. It wasn't giving me the right mindset to get to the goals where I wanted to be mentally and physically and even like financially, right? So just making those switches because I was able to ask myself those questions: is this still serving me? Um, but yeah, so I probably I started on my real conscious journey around 2017. Um, that's kind of when my football career came to an end. Uh, and then I'm like, I mean, all for 20 years it was bigger, faster, stronger, bigger, faster, stronger. And then I got to a point then at the end of the career when it was like, well, what do I want my body to feel like? I mean, I don't have to be, you know, huge. I don't have to be 250 pounds. That's not my goal anymore. That's, I don't have to run a 4.4, 4.5. I'm not trying to get to a 4.6, 4.7, right? Like 40 time. It's not that big a deal anymore. What are my new goals? And just having that thought there just like was, I just wanted to be healthy. Being a trainer and everything, I wanted to dive deeper in on health and what's optimal. How can I be optimal, right? How can I achieve my body's like highest form of productivity and well-being, right? That's where I was focused on, and that's really kind of where the basis of my personal training started. Was It was functional, right? We were doing all like functional training. It's like we want the body to move the way it was designed to move, right? And then I started thinking like, yeah, I want the body to heal itself the way it's designed to heal itself. I want it to, digest the way it's designed to digest. What am I designed to eat? What am I, you know, designed to do? Right? So I dove into being a vegan in 2017, and I did veganism for probably like year and a half, 2 years, and I felt great. I mean, especially those first 6, 8 months, 12 months, felt amazing. I lost a lot of weight. I mean, I was probably only like, 230, 220, 225, 230 in the beginning, right? Which was light for my position in football anyway. I was always on the lighter side. I was always a leaner kind of build. Um, but then, going vegan, especially that first month, I lost a lot of weight, and I wasn't really in tune with cooking like vegan stuff and all of that. I was more like I just kind of stopped eating, especially the bullshit, like, the processed foods, um, processed meats, and just all processed junk food. I really cut out, and I was having like a smoothie. I would have a fruit smoothie with sea moss every single day, and then one meal at the end of the day. So I would work out, have my big smoothie, and I mean, it was a calorie dense smoothie with fruits. I mean, 4 or 5 bananas, cup full strawberries, blueberries, you know, all kind of flax seeds, chia seeds. And with this, I mean, I felt great. I started to really feel the difference in my body. Um, and it just like opened up a world, new world to me, right? It was like, man, I can really change what I eat and change the way I feel and have energy to last, you know, as long as I wanted to. So that was really eye opening back in 2017, starting that. Um, I feel like I did end up with some like deficiencies down the long run with veganism. And, you know, I actually had like one of my tooth started to chip. So it was just like some things were happening where I was like, oh, you know, maybe I just need to make some changes here and there. And I started to dive back into meat products as well as more so fish. And every once in a while, you know, you have like some chicken. It's just hard to. Nobody around me was really being vegan as well. At the time, I was living with my mom and my aunt, and you know, they grew up in Jamaica, and so my aunt would always be cooking up some Jamaican cuisine. Of course, she would make sure I had a little vegetarian, vegan option on the side, but as I started to fade away from kind of like the strict version of the veganism, I would definitely dive back into some of those good cultural cuisines. Man, I love some Jamaican food. Uh, it's hard to give up. I'll tell you that. It's hard to give up some good jerk chicken. To this day, I'll still eat it if it's made with love, right? I gotta know who made it and where it's from, but it's got to be made with love because that conscious love going into the food is gonna be love going into you. That's how I see it, and that's a part of being conscious, right? But yeah, that's a part of that journey, and you know, transitioning from the strict veganism to a more pescatarian style of diet, where I was making sure I was getting more of the omega 3s, DHA, EPA that you can really only get from fatty fish or quality meats. It's really in fatty fish. But our brain is literally, and learning this was like eye opening to me. Um, our brain is really made up of the the fats of the omega 3s, DHA, and EPA, right? It's made up of those fats. Now, with plant based omega 3s, you get ALA, which is another version, right? There's the three DHA, EPA, and ALA. Now, your body can convert ALA into DHA and EPA, but it loses about 70% in the conversion process. And studies have shown that, like, when you're deficient in DHA and EPA, your brain can start to shrink over time. And that's just never a good thing, right? That's something we want to avoid at all costs. So the amount of chia seeds and flax seeds and stuff you'd have to eat to really maintain the levels of DHA and EPA you want, it's not going to be enough. And it's just going to be diminishing returns. So if you are on your vegan journey, I don't want to discourage you from it at all, but I want you to have that information so you can be conscious and make a decision. Maybe I need to take a an omega 3 supplement, right? So I can continue to thrive on this lifestyle and not have diminishing returns. So little things like that, um, because I do take a omega 3 supplement to this day because I don't eat fish every day. Like I don't eat I don't eat red meat pretty much at all right now, and definitely don't eat chicken right now. But more of a pescatarian every once in a while, more of a vegetarian lifestyle. Definitely, like um, a lot of what I eat is in my alkaline vegan cookbook. I'd say that's probably about 75 to 80% of what I eat. And I don't eat a lot at this point in my life. I eat. one meal a day. If it's 2 meals, the first meal is usually all fruit, and I do a 24-hour fast, or it's really more like a 36 to 40-hour fast once a week, because I'll stop eating, because it's usually on Monday, and right, and I stop eating at around 5:30 to 6:30 on Sunday night, and then I won't eat again until Tuesday 12, 11:30, 12, right? So that's, I don't know how many hours that is, but that's where I do, because I'll take all of Monday and I won't eat anything, right? And then when I wake up, I want to still be on my intermittent fasting window, where I'm eating from around 11:30, 12 to 8 p.m. That's kind of my cycle now. But yeah, going back to along the journey, I know it keeps straying away, but yeah, so going into like 2018, 2019, I was really kind of just like tamp- playing with fasting and getting into fasting and how I can stop eating and what is that going to do to my body if I stop eating for 3 days. That's where I was getting on like these 3 and 5 day fasts. I remember the first time I did a 3 day fast, and I would do juices. I would do liquid. It would be a liquid fast. Most of the time, just fresh pressed juice. I had a centrifugal juicer, um, cold press. You know, try to do the low heat as much as possible. But yeah, that's like that was when I really started to get into, like, it just brought out a spiritual side when you fast, because there's something else that taps in your body, because it your body literally feels like you go from eating almost constantly, right, to like nothing, only juice, only liquid. So you can imagine, your body's like, it's getting rid of what it doesn't need. It's getting rid of what it doesn't need. It's replenishing itself with what it does need, is the crazy thing, right? Your body has the storages within itself of the nutrients that you need, but it's going to hold on to it for hard times. But when you create those hard times, it'll start to release some of those compounds and chemicals to keep you alive, because that's what it feels like, right? On the inside, it's like, oh, we haven't had food in over 50 hours. We got to make sure we're still gonna make it through this famine. We got to make sure we're gonna make it to the next meal, whenever that may be. The body, I mean, it's just an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing mechanism, and that's like where we get into like the stressors too. So like, working out is a good stressor, right? It's a good stressor on the body. And cold plunging, it's a good stressor on the body. Sauna, it's a good stressor on the body. Like, in small and acute situations, these things are good for the body, but they are causing stress, right? When you're working out, it's like you're literally tearing your muscles, right? Your muscle fibers are ripping and tearing, and then when you rest, they build back together and they build back stronger. When you eat, it's pretty much a stress as well. It's like, it's putting stress on your body to be able to break that food down and extract the nutrients from it. But when we constantly eat 3 times a day, 4 times a day, you're you're continuously stressing the body. You're not allowing it to heal itself, to regenerate itself, to cleanse itself. And with fasting, I just found that the clarity you get mentally and physically, like, as long as you're replenishing electrolytes and you're staying hydrated, I mean, the benefits are just endless with fasting. It's really endless. And as long as you're doing it the right way, it's going to be safe, it's going to be sufficient, and it's going to allow your body to use what you put into it more efficiently, so you don't have to eat as much. You don't have to eat as much. And going with getting on eating as much, right? Eating a lot, because that's a lot of people's problem, is like overeating, and and that was my problem too for a while, right? Like being a college athlete, I was like trained to eat at all times because of my body style and the position I played, outside linebacker, defensive end. Like I needed weight. Coaches needed weight on me. The weight coaches needed the weight on me. They wanted to see me get bigger, faster, stronger, mostly bigger and stronger, right? Those were the two that were the focus. Bigger and stronger, bigger and stronger. So whenever I wasn't eating, it was like coach would tell me, like, we're in the meeting rooms watching film, like, go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And they have all the stuff right there. So it's like I'm going to make peanut butter and jellies. I probably eat about 3 peanut butter and jellies after breakfast before practice. Um, and then practice, my metabolism was always fast and strong. I burn about 3 to 4 thousand calories in practice, and immediately it's like, go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, go have a protein shake, then go eat lunch, then have 3 more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then as snacks, and then make sure you're eating dinner, and then one of my coaches actually would tell me to like eat eat a bowl of ice cream every night before bed. Eat a bowl of ice cream every night before bed. And I did it. I did it for a while. I did it for a few weeks where I was like, yeah. I mean, even being lactose intolerant, and I was like, I just need to put the weight on. I was young, right? This was probably my going into my sophomore year in college. And I was dedicated to trying to gain weight, trying to get bigger, bigger and stronger, any kind of weight. And it was just like, at that point, it was any kind of weight was good weight. That's what I was told. Any weight was good weight. Eat ice cream before bed. Like, I mean, that sounds like a great deal. That sounds like a great deal. Until I had eczema all over my arms. I was having breakouts. I was not a fun person to be around at night with the amount of gas I had, and yeah, my my stomach was messed up. But it sounds like a great deal until you got to deal with some of those direct effects, not side effects. Those are direct effects, right? When something says it has side effects, no, no, no. Those are direct effects from that thing. So I was directly affecting everybody around me the way my stomach was set up. But yeah, just eating, and that changes like your relationship with food. I know my relationship with food at that point, and even all through college, was it just wasn't a healthy relationship. I saw it as a chore. Eating was a chore. Food was a chore. It was just like, man, I gotta go eat. I don't, and it was a lot of times I'd be like, man, in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't feel like eating. Like I don't want to eat right now. Like, but I gotta do what I gotta do. And I was gonna do it, and I did it. I was definitely doing it. But now that's the goals have changed, the mindset has shifted. Like I was probably right in thinking that. Like I don't need to eat right now. Like I don't. That's yeah. I'm definitely overdoing it, over consuming. But it still takes time to retrain the body, right? Because your body has that muscle memory, right? So I was used to just like stuffing myself and like, I gotta finish this and then go get another plate and then try my best to finish that plate. Well, now when I was, even being a vegan, uh, when I was on that journey in 2017, 2018, it was I would still have those troubles where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm eating these vegan meals, maybe one meal a day, but then I'm snacking and I'm still looking to continue after the meal. It's like I still got to keep going. I got to keep going. My body wants to keep going. I got to keep feeding these cravings of hunger. And it was just like the muscle memory had to stop. And I found the best way to help kind of reset that was fasting, was, really, really resetting your metabolism and resetting my way of eating and how I eat. But to this day, I could still eat a lot in one sitting. But a lot of people who know me know that I used to eat so fast too, like just like super fast for no reason, eating fast for no reason at all. My friends would be like, "You didn't even enjoy that. You didn't even enjoy the food," and and it would be like, if it was a good meal, I'd be like, "Yeah, I mean, I tasted it. It was good. Like I enjoyed it." But I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't take my time and assimilate that food to my body, right? Because I wasn't getting as much nutrients out of the food. And maybe that's why I wasn't able to build weight, build muscle, and gain weight the way I wanted to as well. Was might have been the way I was eating the food was I was eating it too fast. I wasn't allowing the saliva to help break down the food, so when it goes down the esophagus and gets to the stomach, that it can really break down further to be able to get the nutrients out of it, because it's got to break down to a certain state to really be able to pull the amino acids and the sugars and everything out of it to assimilate it with the body, or else it's really just going to get processed as waste because you're not going to be able to extract the nutrients from it as much. So you got to be able to break that food down. And that was one of my big problems as well that I struggled with till recently, was not eating as fast, right? Slowing down. And that's kind of where like breathing helped me as well. Be able to slow down, take a few deep breaths before I eat, while I'm eating, during the meal, take some time to just really breathe, take a few deep breaths, and help your body break up some of that food. Because when you take deep diaphragmatic breaths, your diaphragm is like, massaging your stomach as well. It's massaging your intestines, moving that food around, right? So that's helping that as well. But that's kind of the beginning part of my journey and why I do what I do. Um, and I, didn't really dive deep into the herbal aspect of things until around 2020, where I really started to get into the world of mycelium and mycology with the medicinal mushrooms like cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane. And I really lion's mane was the first one I really heard about. Being a former football player, I wanted to protect my brain and, you know, be able to bring my brain back to where I feel like it should be. Because I did experience some times where it was like, I had a lot of like short-term memory loss, where there were things that I just couldn't quite remember, that happened, just a week ago. Or it's like, we would go out with our friends and like, oh, you remember we were out last week and this happened? Like, nah, I don't remember that. And it's like, what? Friends would be like, you don't remember that? That was last week. You were there. Why don't you remember? So just little things like that made me think like, man, I don't know. Like I never suffered from a concussion on paper, but that's just the nature of the game in football. It's like I probably had a few. Just the position I played and the game being what it is. Like I probably had a few for sure. So we'll talk about that on another day. Um, But yeah, so I started diving into like herbs and mushrooms in around 2020, about 3 years ago now, and really just taking a deep dive into those things. I've got a few different certifications, if you will, or I don't try to put too much emphasis on, achieving a piece of paper for something, because, you know, people get degrees all the time and then they go do something else, right? My degree isn't in, it's not in, my degree is in sociology, which is the way how people interact with the world, with each other, like in social environments, right? Not a bad degree. Not, I think it's a great degree. I love that degree for what it taught me, because it really taught me how to do research. It really taught me how to do research, and that's the biggest thing I took from my degree was um, how to research studies, how to research people, how to perform a study. Whether that study is going to be on myself, on a client of mine, or you know a group of people that I know, or whatever, any kind of study. Research and studies is what that degree really taught me, and I'm extremely grateful for it. But your degree isn't the end all be all, right? Clearly, right? People are, and I'm on Instagram as Dr. Drew because I'm my own doctor. I don't, I'm my doctor, and you should be your own doctor too. If you're not, like, that's, I don't know. You should be your own doctor. Nobody's gonna know what's going on with you more than you. And it really just takes a little bit of research and knowing how to research to kind of figure things out, because you can find research on things that you do and how you feel and come to a really strong conclusion about what you're going through. Definitely. Are doctors needed for actual diagnosis? Of course. Of course. And I support that. I support that as well. But I'm also gonna inquire about myself and about what I'm going through in my own way. And everybody has that right to do that. And everybody should do that. That should be the starting point. And if I can find a way to heal myself or treat myself, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that first, like first and foremost, for sure. But that's what being conscious is all about, being in the moment, feeling, being in tune with your feelings, and being in tune with your state of being, and how things and your environment are interacting with your body and what those outcomes produce. That's what being conscious is all about. And the more conscious you are, the higher your consciousness will go, right? The more you'll be aware of, the more you'll be able to decipher and discern, the more intuitive you become, right? Intuition has led me through this entire journey, right? I've just followed the way I feel like I'm supposed to go, right? Where I'm supposed to be in life, how I'm supposed to interact with the world. I'm just following my intuition on it. But I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.